Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Our current session focuses on the role of learners, teachers and materials in task-based language teaching. I hope and expect by the end of this session you would have some understanding of the positioning of learners and teachers in a TBLT language course, and you would also be able to understand what is the nature or type of materials that are used in TBLT. Well, my dear students, when it comes to the role of learners, primary learner roles include group participation. So a learner in TBLT is considered to be or is expected to be a group participant. There would be many tasks that would be performed in the class in groups, that would be smaller groups or that would be pairs. So the student is expected to collaborate and to cooperate in this regard. Another aspect of the role of the learner is to monitor. In TBLT, tasks are not employed for their own sake but as a means of facilitating learning. And class activities have to be designed so that the students have the opportunity to notice how language is used. So they themselves monitor their use of the language. Learners themselves need to attend not only to the message that is given to them through the task, but also to the form that is used for this purpose in the package that is used in the classroom as a task. So this self-monitoring is very, very significant in TBLT. The student is also expected to be or thought to be a risk taker and innovator. Many tasks will require learners to create and interpret messages in different ways with the help of different linguistic resources and in the light of prior experiences, and there they would have to take the risk. And in fact, this is said to be the point of such tasks, that the students would be or the learners would be challenged, and then they need to be prepared to innovate when it comes to the language use for the performance of these tasks. Practice in restating, paraphrasing, using paralinguistic signals where appropriate, etc. is what is expected from the learner in a TBLT context. The skills of guessing from linguistic and contextual clues, asking for clarifications, and consulting with the other learners, also cooperating and helping them in understanding some task that is to be performed through certain linguistic structures or lexical items, etc., determine the role of a learner in TBLT. As far as the teacher roles are concerned, apart from the general role that a teacher is expected to play in a language classroom, there are certain additional teacher roles that are expected. Number one, teacher is expected to be the selector and sequencer of tasks. The central role of the teacher is in the selecting, adopting, adapting, creating, modifying, and thus sequencing as well of the tasks that are to be used in the class depending upon the needs, requirements, interests, level of the language skills, etc. of the learners of the class. Another expectation from the teacher is of preparing learners for the tasks. Most TBLT proponents suggest that learners should not go into new tasks cold, which means they should be prepared through some sort of pre-task warm-up activity. Such activities might include the introduction of the topic, some clarification tasks, helping the students learn some experience or recall some useful words or some phrases to facilitate the task accomplishment. Using cues may be inductive and may be implicit or deductive or explicit, and that again depends upon the discretion of the teacher. Another important responsibility for the teacher in TBLT is consciousness raising. Current views of TBLT hold that if learners are expected to acquire language through participating in tasks, they need to attend or they need to pay attention or they need to notice the critical features of the language that is used during performing those tasks. This is referred to as focus on form, and the raising of awareness in this regard or consciousness in this regard is considered to be the responsibility of the teacher. TBLT proponents stress that this does not mean doing a grammar lesson before students take on a task. It rather means employing a variety of forms, focusing techniques including attention focusing, pre-task activities, text exploration activities, guided exposure to parallel tasks, etc., and to highlight the materials through these tasks. As far as the nature of materials or the type of materials that are used, instructional materials play an important role in TBLT because it is dependent upon the sufficient supply of the input that is appropriate in a classroom and that is provided through a task. As far as the materials are concerned, Realia or the real life objects is a common source. A wide variety of Realia can be used as a resource for task-based instruction. Task-based instruction proponents favor the use of authentic tasks supported by authentic materials that would relate to the possible life situations. Popular media obviously provides very rich resources to use or to create these kind of materials. So, for example, newspapers can be used to determine different sections and suggest different news sections that might go in the newspaper. Students may be asked to prepare a job wanted ad using examples from the classified newspapers. And different kind of weekend activities they can be asked to plan based on the entertainment section of a newspaper. Thus, newspaper can be used as a material. In the same way, television can be used as a source or material where the students can be asked to take notes during the weather report or prepare a map with the help of the weather report, or they can be asked to watch an informational kind of item that is presented and list the hype words that they try to construct a parallel following the sequence of the hype words. So, after watching an episode of an unknown soap opera, students list the characters with known or made up names, etc., and they might try to determine the relationships of these characters. In the same way, internet can also be used for different activities. For example, given a book title to be acquired, students conduct a comparative shopping analysis of the 3 different internet booksellers, their listing prices, their mailing addresses, their shipping charges, and thus choosing a vendor for, as a kind of justification for why they would make a particular choice for buying that book. So, seeking to find an inexpensive hotel in Tokyo, for example, students can search on the internet with 3 different search engines, for example, Yahoo, Netscape, Snap, etc., comparing each research times and analyzing the first 10 hits to determine the most useful research engine for their purpose. Thus, these real-life resources like newspapers, television, or internet are frequently used in TBLT context, and the activities or the tasks that are to be given to the students can be adopted or adapted from these materials.